this world is controlling everyone, or rather this world is trying to control everyone because they're so afraid that the world wouldn't work when it's not in their control. But the thing is, if we all would follow our soul's path, there are so many different experiences of the soul's path. Like, for example, I'm doing something that I don't love, or I'm doing something that I don't like. But if I would do something that I like and everyone would do that, the world would still working, you know? Because there are some people who love to do works with their hands. There's some people who love to craft. There's some people who love to music. But I'm doing crafting because my father told me I should do that. And you're doing music because you want to be famous. And he's doing this because he wanted that. But it's just everything's reversed instead of like playing Uno and putting the cards together. Everything is mixed. The 6 is with the 7, the 4 is with the 3, but the 4 has to be with the 4 to match.
So what you was talking about is resisting the soul path is when you do what somebody told you to do, what you was taught to do by outer, external programming. That is not doing what your heart told you to do. So I think what you was referring to is if everyone would just act from their heart, then we would not have the problems, you know. We would still have conflict though, because all our hearts feel something different. And that's why human relationships can get so conflicting, because sometimes our hearts are not aligning. But that doesn't mean any harm because we are still in our truth. Then I think to live in truth means to be at peace. So what we want is peace.
What I always say, abundance is the truth, but lack is real, you know? Because when you look into nature, abundance is truth. There's so many things of everything. Like, everything is so abundant.
You cannot count
it's
anything.
Like, you cannot count the leaves, nor the trees, nor the fruits. You cannot count anything because it's so much, so many of everything.
And it keeps growing back.
Exactly.
Always.
It's infinite. It's just infinite. It's just recycling the whole time. But on the other side, what I mean when I say that lack is real, when you look into the world, there are so many people lacking in so many things, like spiritually, financially, physically, mentally. Like, people are out there in wars, and there's just a lot of lack happening, very dense stuff. So that also can be real, but it's not the truth because...
It is real because it is experienced. But you can live without experiencing truth. That's how you know you're being deceived. You know, you're not living actually. So many people are not living because they're not being in truth. And that's why when they're at their deathbed, they have so many regrets because they think they have never lived, but in fact, they have just never owned up to their truth. And that's what we're being taught to not be, is in truth. Because that would mean our hearts would be activated, and that would just be powerful because that wouldn't mean separation, what everyone is so afraid of. That would mean that we would come together in community. And I think people are so afraid of community because it would just show them how lonely they really are, how they have really isolated themselves into an image that they try to be. What do you think how can we explain this expression of the soul? Because ultimately it is still an expression, even though not being in truth. So what is the soul doing here then?
I think the soul is always learning, but the people don't sometimes see the progress, you know. I don't think that any soul's experience, any soul's expression is in vain, you know. Like, the soul's gonna be reborn every time, and learn something new, even when we sometimes don't see it. That's why, in the end, it's so interesting, because everything makes sense and nothing makes sense. For the individual that's living without being in truth, nothing makes sense. But for the soul, it has made sense for anything.
Everything.
So maybe the next time it will be reborn, it took something out of this life, even if it just was for 1 second. But for the human being, for the human experience, it was just like...
Exactly. You wasted a lot of growth. No. You wasted a lot of experience. And experience is ultimately growth. Because we cannot grow through knowledge only. We grow through experience, which is the practicing of what? Or like learning while doing, basically. That's how the universe works. That's how the soul path is, what the soul path is built on, is learning by doing.
Yeah, it's really like...
Keep that in mind. Like, I think that really motivates you to start things and also keep going.
That's really the balance between, or the balance of existences, I would say. Like, if you bring things into balance, then you can flourish, then you can really live, then you can experience. And that's what it means to learn while doing, because you have to do the feminine, as I would say, the learning, the receiving, the being, and then you have to do. That's the masculine, the expression, the outward, the challenge time. Like, when you bring learning and doing into balance, then you have creation. When you only learn, it's gonna be very slick, but you will never do something out of it. And when you're always doing and never learning, you will just keep doing and running in circles. That's why you have to bring everything into balance.